Good evening, everybody. Welcome to FPL BlackBox ahead of Game Week 8. It has been another long international break. I couldn't even remember how to press the buttons to start this stream. Andy had to remind me there's a big button that says go live. So that's the kind of start we're up to. How you doing, Andy?
I'm good, mate. It feels good to be back, actually. I have streamed a little bit over the international break, but it does feel good to actually be properly back. So, yeah, no, let's get back into it.
You've been cheating on me. What have you been up to?
I went on a few pods. I went on the FPL Last Resort pod, went on the FPL Double Pivot. That was my Friday.
You really were the last resort for the last resort pod, weren't you?
Exactly. So, no, apart from that, yeah, and then obviously I had Scoutcast last night as well. So, yeah, people are probably tired of me by now, so I'll let you do all the talking tonight.
You have been busy. You have been very busy doing all that. I haven't done anything for a couple of weeks. And we're on late tackle on Friday, aren't we? You know?
Oh, are we?
Is it you?
No, we're not. No, it's you and Luke.
Oh, it's me and Luke. Oh, God, you're getting a break. A well-deserved break then.
Yes. Yeah, I'm hosting the Works quiz on Friday. Okay. My Works quiz. So I'm definitely... When you said that, I was like, no, I'm not.
That's why the panic
yeah,
set in.
Time.
Oh, you're doing the work quiz? Yeah, I can actually, to pay you a rare compliment, I can see you being quite good at that, actually, hosting a quiz.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Luke used to do the, when Mark was running Scout, there was a Scout quiz like once a year, and Luke used to host that.
Really?
So, yeah, between both of you, it would, got a good quiz masters.
We could do that. We could do an end-of-year black box quiz, couldn't we?
Yeah, we should do that. That'd be fun. Yeah, let us know. Let us know in the chat and the comments if you'd be interested in a black box quiz in the season. Good to see everyone. A lot of comments about what I had for dinner, because obviously we've delayed by half an hour. James C's got it bang on. You can't hurry a curry. That's what it was. It was a curry, a Spice Taylor curry, which is very nice.
Yeah,
and poppadoms and with prawns.
What's your curry of choice?
What, from like a takeaway?
Yeah.
Do you know what? We had a really good jalfrezi the other day. Really nice. Yeah, from this place in Brighton. That actually, again, I'm mentioning Mark twice, but Mark and his partner recommended us this curry house. We were like, we better give it a go. Oh, it was amazing. It was a jalfrezi like chicken curry, but they had, like a tandoori chicken.
Yeah.
They'd like done a proper tandoori chicken and then cut it up and then put it in the curry. I've never had like that before. Normally it's just like chicken chunks, isn't it? This was properly done.
Is that how you pronounce it, by the way? Jalfrezi?
Jalfrezi,
I'm
right?
not sure whether it's jalfrezi, but maybe people can let us know.
God, I'm not sorry. I'm not taking like eloquation lessons from you. Eloquation?
Eloquation? What? I think I win this argument.
Yeah, let's not go down. Let's not go down this road.
Eloquation.
What is the actual word?
Elocution.
Is it elocution?
Elocution. Yeah, elocution.
Shit. I'm embarrassed myself. Terrible. Ross Johnson, who's paying you a compliment, said it's good to see you. He's recommending Hove Tandoori. No, it wasn't Hove Tandoori. It was called Chili Pickle, this place. So, yeah, It was nice. Aaron As is on the sauce. Very good. Very good. Yeah, it feels good. How else do you say jalfrezi?
I don't say... You were saying jalfrezi.
Jalfrezi.
Like frizzy. Yeah.
I'm giving it a bit of a, like a cultural twang.
Yeah, Brighton twang, yeah.
Brighton twang, yeah, something like that. Let us know what you've been up to in the international break. Let us know how your teams are shaping up. Obviously, if you've got any questions, you can super chat them in, and Andy and I will answer those at the end of the stream. We might take some questions as we go through, but we've got quite a lot to talk about because I did all the prep for this on Saturday, and so I was left with a few hours to kill, and I thought, what could be better than spending nearly 2 hours looking into Calvert-Lewin's historical data? So
God, what a way to spend the day.
We've got a nice section on that. Before we do any of that, though, you'll be very pleased to hear that we have a sponsor for this episode, but not just any sponsor, Andy. The Black Box sponsor is back for this season. It is, of course, Manscaped, who were very kind in sending us both this beautiful white and gold ball trimmer. I mean...
Honestly, I was so happy it was the white and gold version because I just
extra,
feel elite
isn't it?
using it. Yeah.
It's really, really nice. It's a great tool. All the stuff they do over at Manscaped is top of the range. There's obviously a beard trimmer that I've talked about before that I use. I've had such a bad run with beard trimmers over the years, and this one, it's waterproof. It cuts your hair really well. The ball trimmers are great. Keep the missus happy and all that stuff. They do shower products. They do like a loofah thing for the shower, which is really nice. And if you use our code BlackBox, at the manscaped.com website, you get 15% off everything at the checkout. So it's been a bit of a break. We haven't mentioned Manscaped in a while, but they are one of our key sponsors. They've worked with us for years. We're delighted to have them back. The stuff they do is amazing. And go check them out, manscaped.com, and use our code BlackBox at the checkout for 15% off.
Yeah. Keith Hill says, please show us your manscaping. That's for the late tackles. You'll have to go on there to see some of that, I'm afraid.
Oh, we've always talked about doing a stream like that. So there'd be 3 very weird watchers of that stream, but
there would be.
They would pay. They would pay. Lovely stuff. Let's take our minds back to game week 7. If you can remember that far back, I played my wild card, which was exciting. Then I had to watch players like Porro score, like get an assist, and I think a couple of other players I took out did all right. But luckily, in the end, I think my team pretty much comfortably outscored my old one. Pope in goal with 7, Gabriel with 9, Lacroix with 3, and Senesi with 2. I had Saka with 8. Obviously took the penalty. We'll be talking a bit more about Arsenal assets in a bit. Mm-hmm. Gordon disappointing with 3, but scored for England last night and looks pretty good. Semenyo with that 18-point haul. You say the early deadlines are cursed, and you see Semenyo rack up an 18-pointer in the first game of the week.
And only 66% of the Black Box boys own Semenyo, which was a sore point on Friday, I'm sure.
I should have. Well, I haven't got Luke's team up, but you'll see when we come to the great and the good. It was not a great week for Mr. D1 Sable.
Bless him.
Enzo with 2. We talked about that last week. That was what was supposed to be my big difference maker. Going Enzo over João Pedro. Now it feels like Enzo's on the top of everyone's wish list.
He was close. He hit the bar, didn't he? Or it was at back post, wasn't it?
I thought he was absolutely superb against Liverpool. Yeah. He did everything, didn't he? He was making great runs. He had opportunities. He's just completely the heartbeat of that team. I thought he was excellent. But when it matters and you look at the points, it was only 2, so disappointing. Reinders with 3, Haaland with another goal and 16 points for him, and then Gyökeres disappointing with just the 2. And then my bench, for anyone wondering who I put on the wild card, it was Dubravka, Alderete. Diouf somehow found his way into the team. He was one of your pre-season punts.
Yeah, I loved him.
And of course, the mighty Calvert-Lewin with 2 points, saving it all for this game against Burnley.
Is that what he's doing? We're going to be talking about him a little bit tonight, aren't we? Because obviously you've got him, and all of a sudden he is the latest bandwagon in FPL, which is going to be interesting to talk about.
He's really dividing the community because there are those who are, everyone's aware of Calvert-Lewin. He's probably going to be a bit of a troll, but the majority of people who are picking him aren't playing him every week. You're targeting specific good fixtures for him and hoping that in one of those games he makes good on some of his underlying stats, which have historically been really good. And then you've got the other group of people who just say, absolutely not. Going nowhere near him. I mean, let's talk. Andy owned him for weeks last year, didn't he? And got hammered every week.
I feel like we're going to be in two different pools tonight, which is going to be in good for viewers as well. I think
we won't be at all biased by the fact one of us owns him and one of us
exactly.
doesn't. So yeah, it'll be fine. What do you think of the Juve pick? I thought of you when I put him in last minute.
Oh, thank you. No, I didn't mind the pick. To be fair, I was quite surprised. You went with him with all the talk about these DEFCON boys, and obviously with your boy Rodon just sitting there and obviously having a good fixture in game week 8, and whether you were thinking about bench boost, and I thought you might have gone there, to be perfectly honest. But no, I think Juve. I mean, we've seen it. He's got 3 assists already this season.
4.
Looks one of the most attacking. 4 now. Oh, that's right. No one else has got more than 4 or something, isn't it? So I don't mind it as a pick. I think it's absolutely fine. I don't know how when you were planning it, how often were you thinking you're going to play him in the next kind of 5 or 6? Does he get in at all?
Twice.
Oh, fair enough.
And one of them's the bench boost this week, which I'm planning, which is Brentford at home.
Yeah.
And he's got another game a few weeks down the line, which I think I bring him in for Lacroix because I think Lacroix's got Arsenal or something like that. It's just when you've got it's the same with Calvert-Lewin, right? When you've got a player who you only want to bring in for a couple of weeks. I had Kilman literally until the last minute. I had Kilman, because I thought good for DEFCON under Nuno. I mean, they've conceded like 16 goals this season already, but you're thinking, okay, that's going to improve over time. But Kilman maybe maybe gets a clean sheet and a couple of DEFCON, but with Juve, you've got that chance, haven't you, that he picks up a couple of assists, max bonus, gets that 15, 16 pointer. I can't help myself. I just can't help but go on the bench. Yeah, it won't be in the weeks I play him. Of course it won't. It's obviously going to be one of the weeks he's on the bench.
The shame with your team, obviously, is Alderete is got potential. I mean, I'm hearing so many conflicting reports about whether he is properly injured or whether it was just a bit of like fatigue in his knee and all this kind of stuff. And
fatigue in the knee.
Yeah, and I'm looking. I think. I mean, I at the moment have no clue whether he's going to play at the weekend. But I read one report that was saying he's most likely out, and he's out for kind of 10 days to 3 weeks. But it's all kind of speculation at the moment. I don't think anything official's come out, has it?
No. I haven't seen anything. I think it's more likely than not he misses out, right? Yeah. Against Wolves.
And they got Ballard to come in, haven't they?
Well, exactly. They've got a good replacement. He's been really good, but they have got options there. I mean, the other problem is Enzo, right? Because Enzo was sent home temporarily. I mean, it's interesting with Enzo though, because he was never going to play the second game. The manager had already come out and said that he wasn't going to start in their second friendly. But it's weird. So have they just sent him home and used that as a bit of an excuse? I think there has been some reports that he was in a bit of discomfort at the end of their first game. But if he wasn't going to play anyway, it's easy just to send him back, isn't it? So we're waiting on news. Because I think if one of those is out, I'll make a transfer and still play the bench boost. But if they're both out, I'm probably going to have to hold off.
I mean, you want Enzo playing as well because you're an Enzo owner, but not a Pedro owner.
I know.
Which means Pedro would be on penalties. I'd be surprised if you get both Enzo and Alderete not playing. Yeah. I think you've got incredibly unlucky there. I'm expecting Enzo to play, but if you don't own him, it's really tough to buy him unless we get some kind of news on Friday or Saturday, isn't it? So I think that's a tough one. You've got him, so I'm assuming, unless you hear anything, you're going to be starting him in your 11.
Yeah.
But like you just said, he wasn't going to be playing the second game. Haaland was the same. Haaland came back early before the second game, didn't he? And it seems like that. It's a long time to be back for. So, I think you'd be unlucky to have both out.
Yeah, but unlucky is the name of my FPL game over the last few years.
I was shocked to see a green arrow next to your number, actually. I hadn't seen that in so long.
Andy, when you're down in the depths of 6 million, the only way is up. I mean, there's a few people who are managing to disprove that through a little bit, but
it's that Mick McCarthy meme, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Can it get any worse? Oh, it can.
It can. It can always get worse. Yeah. Anyway, that was me. I was pretty happy. I'm pretty happy with the wild card. But I think Gordon. There's a few players in there which you always look at, like Gordon. Should I've just gone for Sarr? You look at Gyökeres and think maybe Timber probably was the play or something like that, but. Broadly speaking, I'm pretty happy with how I'm set up, so can't really complain.
I think it's fine.
Your team then? 68?
Yeah, no. So I had Raya in goal and Gabriel, who got me 15 combined, and then I had Senesi with 2, Tarkowski got me 5, which was getting his DEFCON and getting a bonus point, which was quite nice considering Munoz scored and didn't get any bonus. So I was very, very happy with Tarkowski's 5 there. Semenyo got me 18. Bruno got me 3 points. Sorry. Reinders got me 3. Xavi Simons, who was my bit of a punt on wildcard, hasn't been great, obviously. I think he's got me 3 points in total so far. At the same time as Enzo's obviously scored. Kudus has absolutely smashed it in at least one of those weeks. And then I had Pedro and Gyökeres up front for 2 and Haaland captain with 16. I've got Dubravka, Van der Ven, Stach and Mukiele. And to be honest, the thing I'm most happy with is, although it was a small green, I got a 100k green arrow, but all of my players at the moment are still fit for bench boost in Game Week 8, which is what I really wanted. I could have gone for Alderete, but I was a bit of a Mukiele fanboy from back in Footy Man days, so I went for him. But obviously that turns out that it could really help me. And Mukiele could be centre back with Ballard, which would help for his DEFCON as well. So fingers crossed, this is still looking good for bench boost. I got 4 free transfers. It's because I rolled again after wildcard. So I could make some moves, but I'm debating what to do moving forward. But I'm sure we'll talk about that towards the end, won't we?
We will. I guess your big decisions are Fernandes and Xavi, right?
Yeah, and Tarkowski. So Tarkowski's got City away. I mean, probably you're guessing with City away, his floor is 3, you would guess. because he will most likely get DEFCON. In that kind of a game against City, you'd expect him to get it. So his floor is probably 3. And if you have a player that's going to get you 3 on bench boost, I don't think that's too bad in a single game week. So yeah, it's Xavi Simons and Bruno. I could roll. I could genuinely roll and play bench boost.
What is happening with you this year? Why are you rolling every week?
But I could, like Xavi Simons home at Villa, like it's not that bad. And he's going to play. So I'm looking at it and thinking, I could roll. Like Liverpool have been leaky. Bruno Fernandes could stay. I could genuinely roll this and bench boost and have 5 free transfers next week.
I guess because you can't go for Saka, because you've already got 3 Arsenal, there's not a huge amount of options, right? It's hard to know who to... I think I'm going to show you some stats later, which might change your mind a bit on Xavi, though. He has not been great in the stats department.
No,
great player, but maybe not a great FPL asset. But we'll talk a bit about that in a bit. A comment from Jers. How can you be unlucky when so many podcasters emphasise the skill element of the game? Firstly, I don't think a lot of content creators do go on about the skill element of the game. I don't think it's like the expert tag, right? We're not all sat here saying we're experts and really skillful and we're better than everyone else. What percentage of skill and luck do you reckon FPL is?
I would say you probably use around 33% skill to set your team up in a way to get lucky, if that makes sense. So I would say it's probably 33 to 66. And then the extra 1%. The extra 1% is, the expert. I think it's
FPL
about
Harry.
that, personally.
FPL Harry sits in a different.
He's got the extra 1%. But yeah, I'd say it's about that. I'd say 1/3 of it is skill, and 66% of it is luck, really.
I was going to say 60-40, which is what Just a Dad Posting says. Neil Chessman says 50-50. Historia Film 70% luck. I think if you asked all the content creators on Twitter, I think all of them actually would say 60% luck, 70% luck, something like that. I don't think people on here really do go on about how skillful they are and things like that. I think that's just a bit of a thing that people say, but I don't think there's actually any truth in it. Maybe there's a few that might, but we all appreciate this game is ridiculous. Like it's like injuries over the international break. I mean, what do you do if you get 3 injuries over the international break? There's no skill there, is there? It's just unlucky. Yeah. Yep. I haven't got Luke's graphic, but you can see him on the great and the good. So this is obviously looking at some of the infamous names of FPL. Let's go with that. You are top of the pile of the 4 of us. That's including Mark in there. Leapfrogged Luke Williams. Luke, 46 points for Luke. No Semenyo and no Haaland and a Bruno captaincy. Oof. Ooh.
Yeah, that's a toughie. I mean, you're only 10 behind him now.
I know, he was miles ahead of us. Absolutely miles. He's being stubborn again, though. He was being stubborn last year and he's being stubborn again. He hasn't got Haaland. He hasn't got Semenyo. And from what he's said, I don't even think he's going to correct it this week, is he? I think he's...
He tells us all the good picks. How many times has he gone in our chat and he's gone, honestly, this guy's a good pick, and he keeps doing it and doesn't get them himself. Like he said it about Semenyo, said it about Sarr, and we keep going, well, you need to get him then, and obviously he doesn't, and they turn out to be obviously great. So he'll be fine, but he's obviously with no Semenyo and no Haaland, he took a beating this week, bless him.
20 points between us. That's literally that Bruno captaincy from a few weeks ago. But the money is on the line because we have a prize, don't we, for the winner of our little mini league, as in the smallest mini league ever of you and I. It's all about the cards. It's all about the cards.
It is. I'm so excited, especially because I'm 20 points ahead of you at the moment. I don't want you to go ahead of me at all this season. I want to stay ahead of you, and I'm just going to be like waiting for those cards to arrive in the post.
Isn't it it's an invincible season if you manage that? It's like the equivalent of the Gunners.
So I should get 2 then, shouldn't I?
Just for context, by the way, I haven't actually mentioned this. Andy, Mark, Luke, and myself are all bottom half of the great and the good. We have Ben Crellin, Late Riser, Praz, Zofar, Harry, Fabio Borge, all ahead of us, and I think that will surprise absolutely no one. But yeah, there it is.
It's close.
Let us know. Yeah, it is very close. Let us know where you'd be. Would you be beating Fabio? Fabio's top with a rank of 830k. But the Fabio's top again after. It's just, come on.
Yeah.
Luke the Lucky says he'd be 3rd on that list. Very good. Very good. General's bottom, unfortunately. Still going without the Haaland and
72
Salah.
this week though.
Yeah, I know. It's a good week. Yeah, that was. I mean, I got 73, and that was with Haaland. So it can be done. It's just over the season how much is not having Haaland gonna hurt him. Right, talking points this week. Chips to start with. We've covered it a bit already, talking about what chips people are looking to play. Obviously, you and I are both planning on the bench boost. Makes you think bench boost after the international break, though. It's you never know. There could be one or two little injuries, right, or resting, especially from these South American players who are travelling from bloody miles away.
Yeah, I mean, bench boost, obviously, you're only really looking at your bench players in terms of whether you should play it that week. And the big thing with Game Week 8 was that Sunderland, Leeds and Burnley had nice fixtures. I know Leeds and Burnley are obviously playing against each other, but they all had 4 million options in defence. So it just made a lot of sense to target Game Week 8 because you can put these players in your team, play them in Game Week 8 and then pretty much bench them every week for only 4 million. And it just made an awful lot of sense. And considering the fact as well that Leeds have quite a good record at home and you expect that to maybe continue. Sunderland have been pretty good as well. But, you know, Dubravka is the perfect bench keeper. It just kind of all played into the hands of Game Week 8 looking good. There is a chance if you went a bit more heavy on Leeds that Game Week 9 looks a bit better because they've got West Ham at home, I think it is. I didn't go heavy on Leeds because I didn't want to have too much Leeds, but they do obviously look quite good in 9, so there's that potential as well. But like you just said, Game Week 8, after an international break, sometimes results can be a little bit mixed. Sometimes teams can look not quite there again, if that makes sense. Like it takes them a little bit of a while to get going. Fingers crossed, everything goes all right. You just want 15 playing. That's the main thing you really want. So as long as I can get 15 playing, I think, you know, bench boost makes sense. But I think playing the wild card and then playing the bench boost pretty close after is the sensible play, you would say, because obviously you don't want those bench players to be too much money for too long and you don't want to have to make a lot of moves and all that kind of stuff. So apart from this week, I don't know, because you haven't played your bench boost yet. If you don't play it this week, are you earmarking another week or are you just going to wait and see and go, this looks like a good week, let's just play it this week?
Yeah, I mean, the trouble is exactly like you said, if you're going to have, if you're playing on bench boosting in 8, you're obviously not wildcarding, you're going to have at least one of a Leeds player, a Burnley player or a Sunderland player. You're probably going to have one or two from each club, right? Because they're cheap and Game Week 8 is perfect because Leeds play Burnley and Sunderland play Wolves at home. So it's perfect fixtures for all of them. If you wait till Game Week 9, it's great for Leeds and Burnley because they've got West Ham and Wolves, but Sunderland have Chelsea away. So if you've got your Alderetes and your Mugellas and all your... who's the striker? I can't remember his name. I nearly went with him, the one playing up top.
For Burnley? Or
no, for Sunderland.
Isidore?
For Sunderland. Isidore.
Yeah.
Like if you've got him, you don't really want to play him against Chelsea away. You could then wait till 10, but then Leeds have got Brighton. I mean, Brighton away, I expect them to score. Burnley have got Arsenal, then Sunderland have got Everton. And then in 11, Sunderland have got Arsenal themselves. So even if you're looking for the next few weeks, there isn't another time when all three have good fixtures. I mean, you can use transfers. You know, if Alderete is injured this week or something, I could look to move him for a Leeds player or something like that and play it a bit later down the line. But it's just aligned in Game Week 8 so nicely, and that's why it's such a popular idea. If it doesn't, if Alderete is injured this week, I'll probably hold off and play it next week.
Yeah, I mean, what's in your opinion, when you're playing bench boost, and I know this gets asked every single year when people are playing bench boost, but obviously we've got them in single game weeks now. What is you should be looking to get this as a minimum to say that you've played your bench boost well? And obviously this is intentionally playing your bench boost.
Yeah. Well, I don't know much about that. I was talking to James about this, FPL James, and I said I'd still want 15 points from it.
Really?
And he laughed at that suggestion and was like, you're never going to get 15 in a single game week. It's almost impossible. But to me, that's only one decent return, like from your 4 players. That's one haul, because if they all got 2 points, you're looking at 8. So you're looking at one of those players getting a 10 or something, and then you're in and around that. If all your players got 2 points or 3 points, you'd be pretty disappointed, wouldn't you? I would have thought 10, 11 points would be pretty poor.
Don't get me wrong. I think some people see the bench boosts, like the historic bench boosts that people do, and they think, that's what I'm after. I think if you can this season, because of obviously who we're bench boosting, and most people will be bench boosting Leeds, Sunderland, Burnley players. I think if you can get between 8 and 10 points, is fine. I genuinely think that's fine.
Really?
Yeah, I don't. If you gave me 10 points now, so they all got 2, and I maybe got an extra point somewhere from someone else for DEFCON or something like that, I think I'd just take it.
Really? That is crazy to me. That's crazy.
It's one of those. You're using your, what is it, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th best players in your squad that cost a combined like 12 million or something. I'm not. My expectations aren't through the roof, and I think if I go chasing 16 points or whatever it is, I'm just going to have disappointment. So if I can try and get between 8 and 10, I think that's fine.
I think that is negative, because I think if you've got Leeds and Burnley against each other and you've got Rodon and Dubravka,
that's going to be 1-1 now, isn't it?
And then you've got Alderete against Wolves, you're going to be expecting one of those players to get between 6 and 8 points just because of the fixture. No.
I'm just happy if they all play. If they all play and they all get past 60 minutes, then yeah, I can start hoping for something more. But there's not even a guarantee that happens, because you look, all of a sudden, like you said, after international break, there might be some little niggles we don't know about. And all of a sudden, one of your main 11 doesn't play, and one of those bench players comes in, and all of a sudden, it's not looking so good. And I just think, like I said, if you offered me 10 points now, I would take it, and I wouldn't even look to see what the fixtures were. I would just say, yep, I will take 10 points now. Genuinely, I think I would.
I'd risk it all for that extra 5 points, and that's probably why I'm so low down the ranks.
Exactly. That's why you went for Juve instead of Rodon.
That's it. That is exactly it. James writes, I got 14 in Game Week 5 and I was happy. Yeah, I think 14, 15 points I'd probably be fairly happy with. I mean, at the end of the day, it's 10 versus it's 4 points, isn't it?
Exactly.
But this is why it's good that we can play it twice. It's not that big a deal. I don't think it's... Yeah. The bench boost isn't going to make or break your season. The only way the bench boost can make or break your season is if you build your team with a really expensive bench.
Yeah.
And then you ignore players who are... Then you can't afford players that are doing well because you've stacked your bench with, 2 5 million goalkeepers and 2 expensive defenders and things like that. So, yeah, 14 points is fine. Yeah, J77lag says it perfectly. Come on, Andy. Anyone who uses a white and gold manscaper should be aiming high. That's it. That's the attitude.
I like that. That's quite good. To be fair, yeah, if I can treat my nether regions with that much respect, I should probably be treating my FPL team with that much respect as well. What's your by the way, I don't know whether you and Mark have spoken about this before, but what's your take on bench wankery, on putting other players in your bench spot? You're not a big fan of that?
Does my head in. Does my absolute head in. It's on par with the people that have an injured player and play them just so they can get the sub points at the end of it is. Harry does it. I think Focal might do it as well. I absolutely hate it. You've got to set up your team exactly how you would set it up, with your worst players on your bench, and then that's your points. You can't be putting Haaland on the bench, and Saka and all those guys.
I don't mind it if people do it and just tell you their overall score. But if they post a picture of their bench and say, look at this, I got 25 points on my bench, then I do have a problem with that. But yeah. Awful.
No time for it at all. Absolutely no time for it at all. Terrible. There's definitely people in the Black Box League that do it. So yeah, you know who you are. Caleb, I think, is one of them in the chat.
There he is. Yeah.
This was taken from Scout. So these are the chips from 1,200 votes. 50% saying no chip played this week. 22% on wildcard. 18% plan to play the bench boost. 3% triple captain, and just 2% on the free hit. So again, over half saying, no chip, but, a decent percentage looking at the wild cards and the bench boost. Wild cards is a tricky old chip to play this week, I think.
I was literally just about to say that. I think wild card's hard this week. I genuinely, actually, although I'm playing bench boost this week, I think it's a hard week. It's a hard week to call, with a lot of fixtures being
predictions
really
were tough.
Close. Yeah, exactly. And I feel like game week 10 is the next time where not quite a few teams, but Crystal Palace in particular, have a real fixture swing, and all of a sudden it changes. And I feel like there's no one at the moment I'm looking at, apart from maybe Chelsea, where I'm thinking, oh yeah, I can invest quite heavily in those and do do something different to everybody else. And wildcard this week seems tough, I think. I mean, there are people who are going to be out there on wildcard, and it's fine. But from the people I've spoken to that are on wildcard, they are finding it quite tricky to build a team they like, not just for this week, but moving forward.
Well, when we go back to the Lego Mayonnaise graphic, the hop on, hop off, I mean, look at Liverpool from game week 8 right the way up to game week 22. I mean, they only really they played Man City in 11 and Arsenal in 21. But other than that, I mean, every fixture is good. They play, they've got Man United at home this week. They've got West Ham, they've got Sunderland, they've got Leeds. They're playing Brighton, they're playing Wolves, they've got West Ham. I mean, it is an incredible run. And if we come over to the second talking point, it is on Liverpool, because it's which asset do you go for given this run? I mean, Isak is now in the team, maybe not fully fit, but has now had at least a few games to play. You've got Gakpo still in good form, but Ekitike is now back after his ban. Salah's been absolutely atrocious. I think it's fair to say, given the price that we're expected to pay from him. So where do you go with Liverpool? It feels like if you're wildcarding, you need one of them, right? But who?
I mean, I think the safest option you could go for is Van Dijk, because obviously Van Dijk's got the DEFCON, and he has been very good for DEFCON this year. But defensively, they're really struggling, and their defence is not what we've seen it in previous years. And I think you've got a graphic that I don't know whether you're going to put it up now or whether it's coming up later, but it shows that their defence is struggling this year. Like, their attack is actually not doing too bad, but their defence is struggling. If you don't go for one of their defenders, because apart from Van Dijk, I don't think you can go for any of the others. Konate's kind of injured in and out. Kirkes has been a little bit of a mess so far, but hopefully he can improve. Frimpong, Bradley, kind of bit of rotation there, and obviously Alisson's out at the moment. So all of that, apart from Van Dijk, is really the only way you can go. But it's a lot of money for someone you're just hoping for DEFCON. They'll keep, obviously, clean sheets, but they're not keeping as many as you want for that price. In terms of attack, if you don't go Salah, so if we're ruling out Salah at the moment because of the price, I think the only other way you can go is one of Ekitike or Isak being out for a bit, and then you go for the other one. I think that makes a lot of sense. But it's Gakpo, I think. I think Gakpo would be the one that I would fancy going for. Like, he looked good in the international break again. He's got Man United this week, which he's done well against us before. I think Gakpo is the way I would go, but there's so many other midfielders I want to own instead of him. But that run, especially from game week 12, I think it is. Yeah. From game week 12, where it is, what is it? I can't see it now.
It's Nottingham Forest, West Ham, Sunderland, Leeds, Brighton.
He's worth a gamble in that run, I think, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, the other option is to go for is to do Gyökeres to Isak in 12, because over that run, Gyökeres has Spurs, Chelsea, Brentford, Aston Villa, Wolves. I mean, the Brentford and Wolves game particularly stand out, but at that same time, someone like Isak, for example, has Sunderland and Brighton at home. So you'd lean towards Isak, I think, especially if Gyökeres is off penalties.
You know what I would love to happen? I would love for us to see some kind of form from Wirtz. And then in game week 12, Wirtz becomes a thing again. Because obviously he's dropped in price dramatically. So you're paying almost 0.5 less than you were at the beginning of the season. And if we get any indications, you could start doing something. I mean, someone mentioned in the chat, I'll find him here, Brian mentioned in the chat about Szoboszlai. Obviously, he could be somebody that... But it's so hard going for some of these players because of X-Mins as well. And obviously, Szoboszlai could be playing right back at times. So I think... it would be nice for someone like Wirtz to all of a sudden pick up, and game week 12 we could go for him. But I do think Gakpo would probably be the way to go.
What would you need to see from Wirtz over the next 4 weeks to make you consider him in 12?
Oh, anything. No, Starts? I mean, obviously, yeah, exactly. Starts and just more kind of cohesion with the team, and the team looking like they are kind of using him in the way we expect for him to be a bit more involved. Obviously, his chance creation hasn't been too bad. I think you need to see one of Isak it's going to be Isak instead of Ekitike, starting to mould into the team a bit more as well. So that's why I'm saying game week 12, you've got another 4 game weeks to kind of see how that goes. They're not the most knitted together weeks now, though, are there? There's a lot of gaps in between these weeks, unfortunately. So it's going to be a tough one to say that, but we're literally not clutching at straws, but we are trying to pick something out here that we don't think is there at the moment, aren't we? So we're kind of saying, if you had to go for someone, this is who I would go for. I mean, are you on the same kind of wavelength there? Are you thinking it's a tough one, but if you had to go for someone, have you got any temptation to try and get Salah back in by 12?
No.
No, not at all.
I just can't see it. I cannot see a structure which works with Salah and Haaland. I've looked into it. I was debating it on the wild card. Yeah. I just think you're making too many compromises when there's good players in positions that I want at slightly more expensive prices. Like Saka, for example. Like I'd probably have to drop Saka for Salah, and Arsenal's run is still pretty decent.
But in that run from 12 to 16, you would captain Salah over Haaland 3 of those weeks. You'd captain him against Forest at home, against Sunderland at home, and against Brighton at home. So
you wouldn't at the moment. You wouldn't, given the stats. I mean, I'll come over to this. There's so much I want to talk about with Liverpool. We're getting way too excited with this. But coming over to mids for the season, I mean, Salah is 34th over the season for 0.31 expected goal involvement non-penalty per 90. So he's way under half of what he normally is, and he's actually lucky to have 4 returns, I think, given what I've seen from him on the pitch. You're hoping, against all hope, that he suddenly explodes and, becomes what we've seen from him in previous seasons, but there's no guarantee that's going to happen. And this isn't a 7-8 million player where you'll have to tear up your team to bring him in, and I don't think he's tear-uppable right now.
Tear-uppable. Some of your words today. So what?
Eloquence.
Eloquence. So based on the same question you just asked me about Wirtz, what would you need to see from Salah in the next 4 weeks to go game week 12? I'm getting him.
I don't think there's anything. I don't think I would go for him.
Surely there's something. He's the best FPL player we've ever seen. Like, he is the best player we've ever been able to own in FPL. Surely there's something he could show you in the next 4 weeks to make you go, yeah, here we go. Well, I need a Haaland and Salah draft.
He scores a hat-trick against United, say, in game week 8. Not completely against the realms of possibility. He then plays Brentford and Aston Villa. He scores in both of those. And then let's say City... Okay, let's say he scores a hat-trick against Man United, then he scores in all 3 games in 9 to 11.
Yep.
Hard to overlook him. I'll admit, it'd be hard to overlook him going into 12. But I don't think he's going to do that.
In game week 16, you can get rid of him, because obviously he goes anyway.
So you're saying that one of these fixtures you can cover with a free hit, because we're probably going to be using our free hit if we still got it between 12 and 16. So one fixture you can cover it, but are you saying you would tear? I mean, your team structure doesn't allow itself very well to getting Salah.
No, not really.
Because you've got Raya, right?
You say that.
You've got a pricey goalkeeper.
But I just moved Gyökeres down to Calvert-Lewin and Bruno up. Done.
Well, by that point, Calvert-Lewin's going to be the highest scoring player in the game. So
yeah, that's true.
Be an easy move.
I'm not ruling it out. I think anything could click with Liverpool, and all of a sudden that attack starts to. I mean, we've already seen the stats attacking wise aren't that bad. It's just that Salah's obviously been on the periphery of it a little bit, but he's still on penalties. And that run from 12 to 16, I'm not ruling it out. And bearing in mind, I've got an awful lot of transfers I could use. I could restructure my team quite easily.
That is true.
To game week 12. And
that is true.
Getting to game week 12, if there's anything, I mean, imagine, I know it's City away, but imagine Salah scores a brace against City away. And then all of a sudden, people are going to be going, oh my God, I could get Salah here. Because things change so quickly in FPL. They really do. Like, people are saying now they would never ever touch him again. That's the last time Salah's been in their team for FPL. And then all of a sudden we get to game week 11 and he scored a couple of goals, and people will be saying that fixture run's ridiculous. And people do change their mind the closer you get to a nice fixture run. And I just think, don't rule it out.
I'm not ruling it out, but I would say it would have to be a very specific set of circumstances for me to consider him, because I think Isak is the easy. I think Gyökeres to Isak in 12 is an easy move for a lot of people, and unless Isak, I mean, if Isak blanks over the next 4 weeks, okay, then there's a problem. But I just can't see that. I think Isak is just going to be someone who grows more and more and more into that team and makes himself pretty indispensable to it, because he's that. That's why they paid all that money for him, right? I know they paid money for Ekitike and Isak and Wirtz and stuff, but Isak is a proven goal scorer in the Premier League. You know, he's getting 20 goals a season for Newcastle, and he's got all that talent around him. I just think it's going to be an easier move for him. So My money would be on me getting Isak in 12 and not Salah. But you never know. It's Salah. You never know what could happen.
And I know you had the attacking stats as well, didn't you, for Liverpool?
Well, let me show this. Yeah, let me show this table, because I mean, there's talk about Liverpool being in a bit of a malaise, right? There's issues. They've lost 2 games in the Premier League. They lost in Europe as well, didn't they? Did they lose in Europe? They've lost those 3 in a row, right?
To Sevilla, wasn't it?
Yeah. So is there a dip kind of going on? And I sort of had a look. So game weeks 1 to 5, looking at the Liverpool attack, they'd scored 11 goals, which was the best in the league. Their XG was actually 8th, 6.98. So they had overperformed basically in terms of goals to XG. Game week 6 and 7, when this malaise, I mean, we're looking at a very small sample size here, but this is the malaise we're talking about. They scored 2 goals, which is 14th, joint 14th in the league. But actually, their XG in those games is 3rd best. So it's a complete switch around, right? They've scored fewer goals, but their XG and their chances they're creating is better. And actually, their XG delta, which is the XG, minus the goals minus the XG, is the worst in the league. They've scored 2 goals less than they should have done. And that is the worst of all teams in the Prem. So those stats tell you, attacking-wise, there's a bit of a transition period going on. Verts is in and out of the team, there's a few things. But generally speaking, they're going to be fine. The issue they're having, like you mentioned, is defence. Because game weeks 1 to 5, expected goal conceded was 4. They were 4th. They conceded 5, so they were a little bit below that, but still pretty good. Game week 6 to 7, their expected goal conceded is 3.92, which puts them 17th. In the league. So they've struggled. The last 2 games, they have struggled. And that's why they've lost. They've lost to Chelsea, they've lost to Palace. Their delta is about in line with where it should be. So it's defence where the problems is. So if you've got your Gakpos and your Isaks and your whoever, you're probably not too worried. But if you've got Van Dijk, I mean, would you go for Van Dijk now on a wild card?
Not for the money, I don't think.
No,
I think
it's not
we've got a little bit of data in terms of these certain players that are good for DEFCON, and they are cheaper, and I don't think you can really justify Van Dijk. Patrick Ford, by the way, says it was Galatasaray, not Sevilla. That was my bad. But Delia is in the chat, by the way, saying, "No, don't buy what Andy is saying about Salah. This is how he sold us on Bruno at the beginning of the season." Look, if Bruno had scored his 2 penalties, he would be right up there. I'm just saying.
It's still a blank against Sunderland. It's still a blank against Sunderland.
Oh dear. At least I didn't captain him in that one.
Yeah, that's good. I still don't know how you got away with saying that, and then he missed 2 penalties. That is very funny. He'll never blank. Thing about Fernandes is
he's been so close, honestly. 11 DEFCON as well. Yeah.
So what we're saying about Liverpool, we're saying if you were wildcarding this week, you'd probably go Gakpo or Isak. I think I would. I think I'd go Isak on the wildcard now.
I think I might have a draft that had Gakpo in it, and I toy with the idea of going with him. But I mean, if you think about who you've got in midfield already, it's trying to find that slot. And I guess, what is it, the Bruno slot?
Yeah, you could do Bruno or Xavi Simons to Gakpo. That's got to be tempting, isn't it?
Boom. There you go.
Yeah. Bruno has so many routes to minus points, says Aaron.
He does. Yeah. Chat is on fire tonight.
Chat is very good. People are clearly ready to be back. Get the football back this weekend. This one's a bit of a cheap one, third talking point, because it's Arsenal. Yeah. And it meant that I could just recycle the graphic we used just before the international break. But I think with Saka taking that penalty, Timber delivering again, Rice scoring, there's a few more options that we're considering now. And it looked pretty clear cut. I think we unanimously agreed last week that if you were picking, then it would be Saka, Gyökeres and Gabriel, right? I mean, I know obviously there's Raya as well, but it's either Raya, Gabriel and Gyökeres, or it was Gyökeres, Saka and Raya. That's what we said like last week. Whereas now, I'm not so sure it's that easy, because Timber just continues to impress, really. He's top of the point scorers for Arsenal players with 48, just ahead of Gabriel. He's had 24 touches in the penalty area, which we've spoken about, is a lot. He's having shots, they're all in the box. His XG per shot is really good. He looks a great pick. So I guess the question is, do you go for him over Gabriel, or would you favour now a Gabriel, Timber and attacker route?
Yeah, I think that's probably the way. I think from what I'm hearing from a lot of people that were like me and went with Raya on wildcard, they're kind of not regretting it, because I think Raya is going to be absolutely fine moving forward. You know, he's going to be a steady keeper. Whenever they keep a clean sheet, obviously he gets that as well. And yes, his ceiling usually is 6, but he can get more than that. But I do think Timber is kind of emerging as a player that most probably, if you were wildcarding now, he would be in everybody's team if they were wildcarding. And I think rightly so. With the stats that we're seeing, it is worth saying, and by the way, I'm pretty sure I said Timber, was it 2 weeks ago? I said Timber would be the one to go for if you were wanting something different with Arsenal. But I still think Calafiori's a great pick. He's had more shots. He's had 5 more shots than Timber, 14 shots, which is only he's only being beaten by Eze and Gyökeres in terms of shots for Arsenal. You could pick any of these defenders, couldn't you? My worry is with Timber, I want to see whether this carries on in terms of whether he's had his purple patch and people are going to be jumping on him after the purple patch, or whether this is something that's going to continue, if that makes sense. I mean, 2 goals and 2 assists in 7 weeks from a defender is pretty special, isn't it? And Gabriel's the one, obviously, we all wanted. He's got 1 goal, and that was against Newcastle, obviously. But I do think if you were picking on wildcard now, you'd have Timber, Gabriel, and I'm guessing most people would pick Saka over Gyökeres, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I think so. There's a few people mentioning Ben White. I think White will take a game or 2 off Timber, but I don't think in the near future. I think Timber's too important. I think there's much more chance with Lewis Skelly taking minutes off Calafiori. I mean, it's amazing that Calafiori has started every game for Arsenal. I definitely would have thought Lewis Skelly would have started at least one so far, but clearly Arteta's happy with that defence, and he's not going to be rotating round key players in defence. So I think you're fine. You might have a week where, you know, Timber misses out. That might happen, but it's not going to be a regular thing. So I don't think that's enough to put you off him. But I wouldn't go for Calafiori. I still think Calafiori is a bigger threat. He's a bigger threat with Lewis Skelly. I
mean, I do think as well, like, people always do this. When you've got a nice pick like Timber, people will go, oh yeah, but Ben White's there. And it's like, yeah, but Timber's obviously first choice. He's performing. That defence is still elite as well. If he does miss 1 week in the next 8 or 9, like, absolutely fine. Because you've got players like Senesi, Anderson, Van Ven, all those players on the bench that are doing well and have DEFCON now as well. I think it's fine. And it's one thing that having those cheap defenders on the bench to get you DEFCON, they could potentially come in for Timber with 4 points. And you're sat there thinking, that's great. So I think that is probably the way I would go if I was on wildcard now. But I don't think Raya is a bad pick. So all those with Raya. I mean, this is something that I was talking to somebody about the other day. I've got Gabriel Raya and I've got Gyökeres up top. Obviously, I've got a few free transfers. Would you be tempted to make the swap? Would you be tempted to do Raya to Pope and Tarkowski, say, up to Timber? Would you be tempted to change it around? Would you?
Yep.
I don't think that's worth 2 free transfers, see?
I think you're going to regret having Raya.
Nah. How can you...
Because
I
think
Timber's going to outperform him consistently to justify using a free transfer for it? Do you?
Yeah, I do. And I think you can be a bit more... Once you've taken that Band-Aid off with the goalkeeper... You know, you don't want to be making goalkeeper subs later down the line, maybe when you've got fewer transfers, but you can get away with it with a defensive transfer because you can target the DEFCON, good fixture runs, all that kind of thing. And they've got more routes to points now. I think having Raya when you've got like this list, I mean, there are so many players on this list that are good options. I mean, we talked about Timber, Gabriel. I mean, Rice, I think, has been absolutely superb. 3 assists and a goal. Yeah. For him in the last game.
Never blanked. He's done what Bruno was supposed to do.
That's what he said about Rice at the start of the season. Obviously, I didn't go with him. But even someone like Eze, I mean, look, Eze's had the most shots, and he's now. You feel like he's starting. Yeah, you feel like he's starting to make that place in the team his own. So why would you lock yourself into the goalkeeper when you've got so many good picks elsewhere? I would get it done. If I had 4 or 5 free transfers and I could get Timber, I'd be doing that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Cautious manager these days, Andy. Cautious manager.
There's quite a few people in the chat saying about Rice being a much better pick than Caicedo. Yeah, of course he is. But how many other Arsenal players are you going to pick over Rice? That's the problem. How many Chelsea players are you going to pick over Caicedo? Maybe 2. Whereas Rice, where would you rank Rice in terms of Arsenal players? Because you've got Timber, Gabriel, you've got Saka, you've got Gyökeres still potentially. So is Rice what, 5th or 6th best?
Yeah, he's 5th,
Arsenal,
isn't he?
do you think?
I'd put him above Eze, but I think you'd still go for Timber, Gabriel, Saka, and Gyökeres ahead of him.
Yeah.
But Gyökeres is on thin ice.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
Especially when Havertz is back.
The stats are there.
The stats are good, and like we're saying, oh, he's got good opposition. He eats up the weaker teams. Well, he didn't eat up West Ham.
No, he didn't. Not at all. When I was watching the updates for that game, because obviously it was 3:00, wasn't it? And when I saw that Saka took the pen, I was sat in a food market and I just put my head down like that. And I thought, brilliant, because obviously a lot of people went Saka, and fair play to them because obviously he took the pen. I'm still not 100% convinced it's just Saka on penalties every time they get a penalty, because Gyökeres genuinely looked quite annoyed that Saka was taking it. But yeah, it's a bit of a blow for Gyökeres owners, isn't it?
I'm not buying at all that Saka's just on pens now. I completely agree with you. It's going to be shared. Saka is the kind of person who will share that around, and I think he'll be the one that makes the decision. I think that's from what I've seen over the last few weeks, he gets the ball, and I think he dictates what's going to happen. But I think if Gyökeres comes up to him and says, "Bukayo, I'm up for this. Let me smash this in," he'll give him it, because I just can't see him hoarding it. I think Saka is the best. Is the number one taker, but that doesn't mean he's always going to take every penalty. It's a bit of a weird one at Arsenal with pens. But I think even the fact it's split does affect Gyökeres, because I think most of us were expecting him to be the number one taker who would take every pen given his record, and that isn't the case. So you've got to mark him down a few points.
It's a lot of money we're spending on strikers, where strikers do not seem to be good value for money at the moment, and that's the other thing. 9 million on Gyökeres. I mean, we're lucky. I mean, what is he now? Actually, sorry, 9.1 million.
9.1.
We're lucky we haven't. He could be getting a price drop very soon, couldn't he? Because if he blanks this weekend, I am worried that he is going to be sold in droves, because people are going to be moving off him to players like Mateta, for instance, because they've got a good run soon, and Voltemada's also got a good run, and I do look at it and think, I'm wondering whether we're placing. I mean, I wildcarded and put all that money into my attack, but if you had to pick your triple Arsenal now for all those people on wildcard, who's your triple Arsenal?
Timber, Gabriel, Saka.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think that's fair. I do think that's fair.
Because I'd go Isak over Gyökeres now. Because he's not that much more expensive, only about 1 million more, 1.4 something.
The only thing I would say is, though, if you've picked Gyökeres and Raya, I wouldn't be swapping yet. I would still stick with it. A lot of people were with you, but I wouldn't make that move and do the Pope. And I
just don't think there's going to be enough between the goalkeepers to waste that Arsenal spot when there's so many good options. And there's other like Newcastle. You're never going to want 3+ Newcastle players, even though they've got good picks. But you're never going to want it. So I don't know why you wouldn't just get Pope. Their defense is absolutely superb. I mean, look at Palace's run from 10. I mean, you've got Brentford, Brighton, Wolves, United, but I mean, you can even go for Henderson, double up on Palace. There's lots of choice, I think, with goalkeepers. And yeah, Timber, Gabriel, Saka looks great. I mean, if Gyökeres hits a bit of form as well, and Bryce keeps doing what he's doing, suddenly you've got five spots open. But yeah, interesting one. Interesting that you're going to stick with Ray. I guess, you don't want to make the move, but we'll see if that resolve is tested.
Ray's fine.
Yeah, okay.
Watch him save a pen this week.
Oh my God, I'll cry. Final one. This is the one I'm sure everyone's been waiting for. It's the man himself.
Here we go.
Dominic Calvert-Lewin. There was a couple of comments in the chat last week when I said that Fark prefers him to Pirot and Bamford. I don't really understand what the problem with that was. I was saying his play style is what Fark wants: winning headers, winning duels and everything, and that's why he got rid of Bamford, and that's why he isn't playing Pirot. I don't know what the problem was with that.
Come on, be honest. After the stream, I messaged you and said, "Remember, Bamford isn't at Leeds anymore," and you said, "What?"
Shut your mouth! You didn't even pick up on it because nothing bad was said. I actually did. Of course, I knew that Bamford had left Leeds. Come on, guys! I'm not a complete amateur. Let's move on. I did a bit of digging into Calvert-Lewin. I wanted to really justify his inclusion in my team and the fact lots of people are talking about him this week. There'll be people listening to this. Like I said earlier, people listening thinking, why the hell have they dedicated one of the 4 precious black box talking points to Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And there'll be other people thinking, I've got him, or I'm thinking about getting him, playing the bench boost. What I thought I'd do is I'd look to see over the last sort of 5 or 6 seasons how much of a troll he's actually been, because that's his reputation, right? He's someone who has good stats and doesn't score goals. That's what we all think of Calvert-Lewin. So I had a look over. I mean, his minutes are all over the place, really. I mean, he had his really good season back in 2021. He got 16 goals. He was averaging 2.6 shots a game, which is pretty much on average with what he gets over other seasons. His XG non-penalty was the highest it's been, 0.51. But again, he's had seasons where he's like 0.47, 0.4, 0.38. So, it was higher, but it wasn't crazily higher than we've seen in other years. His XGI delta was around about where it should be, like minus 0.7. Tends to be a little bit worse than that per 90. And if you look particularly over his last 4 years, he massively underperforms on that delta score. So minus 0.28 per 90 on average a game. So he's effectively every 3 games he's missing a goal that he should have scored almost. So it's not great. And his FPL points back in 2021 were 5.1, which was the best. So obviously he had that really good spell in 2021. Since then, it's been awful. I mean, you look at these stats, you think, okay, he's having good amount of penalty touches. His XG's decent. His FPL points are pretty average, and his delta's poor. It's the consistency which blows my mind of how bad he is at converting chances. I mean, you look at all of these years. I mean, his best year for stats was in 23-24. He's having 3 shots a game, 5 touches in the penalty area, only got 7 goals. And his XGI non-penalty 90 was 0.54. I mean, to put that into context, like Salah's is like 0.7, 0.8. I mean, his underlying stats are really, really good. And he just doesn't put the ball away.
I mean, the thing that this doesn't show, although I guess it does kind of show it because it shows the minutes there on that column, is also his injuries. Like, he is constantly injured. And when I looked up, before we streamed, I went to look up his injuries, and I've never seen a list like it. It is just, I think it said page 1 of 3. And it was just constant injuries. And I think it's really hard when the stats are there, but you also can't get a good run of games going either because he's constantly injured. It massively hurts him. And, you look at this, he's only once gone above 2,000 minutes in the league since 2021. And that year in 2021 was 2020-21 was that Ancelotti and James Rodriguez.
Of course
it was. They were unbelievable. That was when I owned him. I owned him at the start of that season when not many other people did, and he started like a train, didn't he? Got 5 goals in the first 3 games. So I think he is. I mean, I'm so against people getting him because the main reason I'm so against people getting him is you're either playing him every week or you're benching a player that costs as much as he does, most weeks. And I'm not a massive fan of it, especially when we've got such value in defenders as well at the moment. I don't know why you would want him personally. I know why people want him, and it's because he's coming up in a lot of projection sites, and all of a sudden now he's a good player because he's got some penalty share, hasn't he? So, I'm not even sure he's going to take penalties.
I will defend him a little bit here.
Go on.
And the people picking him. I mean, when I picked him, it's because I was playing 5 in midfield, and that means you've got a choice if you're playing 2 up front. It means you go for a 4-5 non-playing forward, like Goo, for example. Doesn't work if you're playing a bench boost. You go for Lyle Foster at Burnley, who's 5 million, who statistically is the worst forward in the game to play and plays for Burnley and is having his minutes managed as well. You go for Calvert-Lewin at 5.5, who's pretty much the only 5.5 option of any note, or you go up to Thiago at 6, but then you're paying 6.1 for a striker who you're probably not going to pay. So for me, it had nothing to do with projections or anything like that. It was more, if I'm going to pick an all-right player, it has to be one of Foster, Calvert-Lewin or Thiago. And if I don't want to pay 6.1 for Thiago, it sort of has to be Calvert-Lewin. There's no one else.
It has to be Calvert-Lewin.
It has to be Calvert-Lewin.
I need to clip that and put it on the YouTube after this.
You see the point though, right? There's no one else. There's no one else in that bracket who looks half decent. I mean, you could argue that Calvert-Lewin himself doesn't look half decent. And, if people want to go for like a Lyle Foster because they just want to burn that spot and at least he's going to get minutes, you think he's going to get about the same, that's fine. But for 0.5 more, given that Calvert-Lewin does have good underlying stats, you're just hoping in that 1 week you play him that it all just comes together for him. And he has scored. He has scored this year. And he has had chances.
By the way, G in the chat says, just pretending Isidore doesn't exist. You mentioned Isidore at the beginning of the stream, didn't you, Az? But I'm going to say it now, and I don't often say this about players. I think DCL is a bad pick. I would be nowhere near him. Even on wildcard, I wouldn't be picking Calvert-Lewin. I get it if people picked him last week and they were thinking about bench boost this week. I kind of get that then, but otherwise, I wouldn't be doing it.
So Isidore, I did debate, and I had him in quite a few drafts on the wildcard, but he is not secure minutes wise at all. And if you go on Reddit and you talk to Sunderland fans, they've got a lot of options in the strikers, and I think Mayenda is someone they're pretty excited about for when he can come in. And Brobby, I think they paid quite a lot of money for him. So there's a lot of talk that Isidore is just a couple of games away from just not playing. Calvert-Lewin has no competition in that team either. He is, and I said it before the international break, and I'll say it again. Like, he was bought because Farke wants that kind of profile player up front. He is incredible. You can say what you want about his finishing, but Calvert-Lewin is an absolute beast in the air at holding the ball. He's got great strength. He can bring other players into the game. He is a key man for Leeds. So I think he's all right. He's not, if you're not playing him every week and you're going to play him for a couple of weeks and try and get some points off your bench boost, he's fine.
He has got competition though. He's got Perot, Bamford's still there, and you can't. By the way, Luke the Lucky says, need to get some T-shirts made. It has to be Calvert-Lewin. Can you please, when we do our Godfather meetup, can you make some shirts for people? Yeah, yes. It has to be Calvert-Lewin. Would be great.
If he scores on my bench boost this week, he's going on the wall. Well, it's not even a wall anymore. It's just on top of the tortoise tank. But it is funny though, because I remember when Slippers owned him last year. I remember he was playing him every week. That was the difference. He was in people were thinking about Calvert-Lewin saying, I'd never go there again and all that. But that's when you were playing him every week and you were missing out on, points from big players. It's not like that. You're just picking a player to come in every now and then. I mean, everyone hates him in the chat. That's absolutely fine. Mysterious Darrow in the chat. This is totally sub guy and just don't know the angle of Az. There's other people thinking this is like a content creator conspiracy that everyone's gonna talk people into buying him. I've got him. He's actually in my team, so it's nothing like that. But yeah, I mean, the general consensus is he's a terrible option. They side with you, Andy. So
yes,
maybe we should move off Calvert-Lewin.
We're 1-1 now. We're 1-1.
I just don't see how he ever blanks.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Fantastic. All the stats you just heard about Liverpool and about Calvert-Lewin are all obviously from Fantasy Football Scout. I was very honoured to be a part of the Q&A stream with Sam where we hit 100,000 subscribers on the Fantasy Scout YouTube channel. Really, really happy with that. Obviously, you've been a big part of that with the Scoutcasts and everyone getting involved in all that. So do check out all the content that's going on over there. But if you're interested in the stats and the tables and everything, this is all built with the members area stats. So there's a QR code on the screen. If you zap that and you put in the code FFS BlackBox 5, you get 5% off. That locks in that rate forever. So you'll never pay more than you pay today or whenever you sign up. And yeah, there's amazing tools out there to use. Player comparisons, fixture tickers you can play with, rate by team, all that stuff. So do check out Scout if you're interested. And the tables that follow will also be from Scout. So this is the defence table over the last 7 weeks. You can see Arsenal top of the pile, 0.63. You mentioned Pope earlier. Newcastle are second, 0.63 actually on penalty conceded per 90 for Arsenal, 0.7 for Newcastle. Thought I'd flag a couple of these. Leeds down in 6th.
Yeah. Pretty
good. They've had a good start, haven't they?
Yeah, considering as well they've had the 14th worst fixtures to start their season, it's not been too bad at all. I know I said it quite a lot when I do the predictions, is that Leeds at home, I don't mind backing for a result against, kind of mid to low level teams. I think they're good at home. Also, Sunderland in 8th as well. I think Sunderland in 8th is going to be really interesting to see how they do in the next 6, because they've had the second best start out of all teams, but they've done well with that start. And I'm really interested to see how they do in the next 6, because if they get some half decent results in the next 6, then they're a pretty decent team. It's just interesting to see whether it was just the fixtures at the start that made them there. But, we've seen promoted teams have good fixtures to start with and they do terribly. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they do. And also Villa, by the way, which people always talk about being a good organised team, good defensively, down in 14th, and they've had the best fixtures for the last 6. And now they go up against some of the worst teams possible in the next 6. For a team that we were so heavily relied on to start the season, they have really disappointed, haven't they?
Really bad. Really, really bad. And like you said, it doesn't get any easier for them. Even the wins they've had, I mean, it feels a little bit like they've sort of just got over the line. I mean, what are their fixtures to come? Because, they're not great according to this list. But, I mean, there's going to be people out there with Watkins. Rodgers has gone away with England and had a really good couple of games with them. But, Spurs away, Man City, Liverpool, they're the next 3. Yeah. I think if you're holding on to your Villa assets, you've got to be getting rid, right? You can't be holding... Like Watkins, Watkins has got to be a sell, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely. Especially with all the options we got. I keep saying all the options we got. Obviously, strikers have been a little bit disappointing. But when you've got like Mateta, Voltemada, Gyökeres is obviously still there. You were talking about Isak as well. I don't think you can hold him. So it is a bit of a shame they've started the way they have. But like I said, because they have, and with the fixtures they've got coming up now, I don't think you can hold them.
Yeah, well, Voltemada is obviously the poster boy for this episode. We'll talk about him when we come to the forwards. The other team I wanted to mention on the defence was Chelsea, down in 16th. Middle of the road fixtures, they're in 13th. They've got good fixtures to come. They've only conceded 9 goals, which you look at the teams around them on this table. Wolves 14 goals conceded, Forest 12. But the stats are right down. We're, like Manchester United, for example. Like we're all saying week after week they look really poor at the back. Well, Chelsea's numbers are right down there with them. They've just conceded a couple of fewer goals. But Sanchez owners, Chalobah, for example, is quite popular. Again, the fixtures are all right, but tough to keep them.
I'm seeing a few people going for Cucurella on wildcard because the fixtures are quite nice moving forward. 4th best in the league in terms of next 6 fixtures. They're just such a hard team to trust, Chelsea, aren't they? They really are in terms of what you're going to get every week. Sometimes they look like world beaters. Other times they look like they're terrible and they're really hard to trust. But, Cucurella does have the upside. But, they're just hard to trust, I think.
2 matches with 10 men, says Ahmed. True. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
But still, shouldn't keep getting men sent off, should they? But I mean, that does inflate this. I mean, we all thought, didn't we, when Colwill was out, they would struggle a bit. And I think the first couple of games, they looked all right. So, maybe it is just a little bit of a blip. But we do have a decent-ish sample size now. Attack over the season. So Man City are top of this. Palace in second in terms of XG per 90. Very, very good. I am kicking myself a bit for not getting Sarr on the wild card.
Would you get him this week?
No.
Would you think this is a week early?
Given it's Bournemouth and then Arsenal, I think you can hold off, but I sort of wish I just had him and didn't have to worry about that, because I don't think you are going to buy him because of those fixtures, but it doesn't mean he couldn't still do well. I'm at the game. I'm at the Palace game. Oh, yeah, going up to London to watch it because I watch Bournemouth quite a bit, and obviously it's Bournemouth they've got. It's going to be a great game. Like, it really is. 2 cracking teams at the moment. But that Palace defence, I can see that being a score draw, or both teams scoring in that game. That's what I've gone for. And if Palace score, Sarr should be involved. You would think. Yeah. With how wasteful Mateta is at the moment, you think Sarr would be involved in the goal. So I don't think it's too bad. But like you said, with Arsenal the week after as well, I think you could probably wait 2 weeks. I just wish I had him. Luke talked about Sarr at the start of the season. Obviously didn't go with him, but that's classic Luke. But yeah, I think he's a player that you could just put in and just not have to worry about. He can score in any week. That's what Mark says in the chat. Sarr can score in any match. I think you'd go into even Arsenal and think I could get something out of this. He's got that about him. Yeah. So yeah, great pick. Arsenal are 4th on this list. Obviously we've all talked about their fixtures being tough. I think this is interesting because there has been talk around, I think particularly last year, the chance creation, they were struggling a bit to create chances for the whole year. They they put Gyökeres in, and there was still some talk, well, it's not just about getting a striker in. They need to find a way to get the ball to him. They're fourth on the list, 1.52, just below Man United, Palace, and Man City. Eze is a big boost for them. I think getting him in the side and playing, I think that just unlocks everything. Without him, I don't think Gyökeres and the others would be as appealing. But even though I'm not really considering Eze, I think having him just makes everyone else better.
Yeah, no, I do agree. And I think Eze's so good at putting those balls over the top, over the defence as well. And I think, I know people have been talking about Eze too. I don't think Eze's in my top three either. I think obviously you'd always go for Saka over Eze, but if you don't have the money, then I mean, who do you think is a better pick? Do you think if you, for some reason, didn't have the money for Saka or Gyökeres and you wanted to pick another Arsenal player, would you pick Eze or Rice?
I'd go Rice still.
Would you instead of Eze?
Just for the security. For the security of minutes. I know he was benched in one game, wasn't he? But I think that was the
with Odegaard out. Do you think Eze's pretty nailed though?
Yeah, I'd say he probably is, but I'd have a bit more doubt of him long term, like medium to long term. And Rice has been performing, and I'd said at the start of the season, I think Rice is going to go on and potentially have a 180 point season. So I still think he's a really good pick.
Yeah.
I just don't know if Eze in this... Like I said, Eze is one of my favourite players in the league. I think he makes Arsenal a much better team, but I just don't know if he's an FPL pick yet. Whereas Rice, I think, with corners and a few other routes to points, probably is.
Yeah, fair.
Close, though. Would you go Eze then?
Probably. I probably would, because I'd be trying to chase some of those attacking returns. Rice has been great, but I think I probably would.
Yeah. Forest down in 15th, another team I highlighted. Really poor. We thought maybe Ange coming in would mean lower defensive stats and better attacking stats, but he's struggling to get a tune out of either. It's going to be Dyche ball soon, isn't it?
Well, that's what I was just about to say. Yeah, we've also got no idea how long Ange is going to be there for. We did say that Ange coming in with the players he's got, it's a really tough mix of players. Like, Chris Wood's, I don't know how he still lasted as long as he has, and I do worry for them. I mean, if Dyche comes in, it might help, those Murillo picks, those Milinkovic picks, if people are still holding on to those. Anderson still seems to be playing the exact same role, though. His DEFCONs are still elite in terms of numbers, so he isn't the worst player to have because, he is getting them. You just brought it up here in terms of top of the DEFCON. He's third in terms of DEFCON success. Is it No, in terms of DEFCON.
Overall DEFCON.
Yeah. So I don't think Anderson is the worst pick, but obviously there's a lot more kind of exciting players you can pick, isn't there? That's the problem.
Yeah. I brought this up because I'm interested to come onto this every week. I think, given it's kind of the new rule. I mean, Caicedo is top of the DEFCON, 96 for him. That does only lead to a success of, I would say only. I mean, 57% is pretty decent, but I think it shows with Xhaka's second, he's had 89. He's the same rated success as it just shows though that for midfielders, it is tough. Like getting those 12 points every week on week is tough, and it's probably going to average out at around 50%, which I mean isn't bad. I think particularly for Xhaka at 5 million, if he's going to be getting it 50%, it's good. Caicedo's up to 5.8. I still don't think he's going to keep up this rate of scoring that he seems to be doing. I still don't really like Caicedo as a pick. I prefer Xhaka and Anderson actually because Xhaka's really cheap and Anderson's obviously got some set pieces and he's been playing a bit more advanced, hasn't he, for Ange? So I don't mind him at 5.4. And then looking at some of the other players, I mean, you've got Senesi, Anderson. I think just one game they haven't achieved it in. Same with Tarkowski too. I mean, look at Fernandes though. We thought he was going to be a monster for this. It's only 29%, less than...
Yeah, it's surprising. And it's been quite a few times where he's only hit like 11, isn't there? Which is very frustrating. Interesting in 14th and 15th, Richards, Lacroix. Where do you stand on Palace defenders? So if you had to pick one, Richards, Guéhi, Lacroix, Munoz, the fact that we could pick 4 from their defence seems pretty wild, but which one would you pick?
I know. Well, I had this decision on the wild card because I had Munoz originally.
You went Lacroix, didn't you?
Remember I said earlier I sold Porro for his assist. I was like, I'm sure someone else got me points. Yeah, obviously Munoz scored and I got rid of him. I had them all in my team at various points. I had Gay in at the start because I caught his price rise. And then I went down to Richards because I needed the money to do a few extra things. And then I was thinking about getting Munoz back in. In the end, I went for Lacroix just because I think you could easily go for Richards at 4-5. I just think who is the best player in that defence in terms of what I've seen and historical data in terms of achieving DEFCON, and it is Lacroix. Like Lacroix last year was an absolute monster for DEFCON. So at the moment, there's nothing in it between them. But as the season goes on, I think Lacroix will start to pull away in terms of it. He might not.
I agree.
Maybe it'd be Richards that carries on and he's worth the money. But I for the long term, I think Lacroix will be in my team all year. That's the confidence I've got in him. Whereas the others might fade away a little bit.
No, I think if it was out of the two, I mean, I started the season with Richards and benched him for all of his points. But I think I'd be picking Lacroix over Richards. And then, like you said, I'd probably play Lacroix most weeks.
Yeah. I think you do, because I think there are. It'd be interesting to see what happens when Europe kicks in and everything. But just generally speaking, I think just Palace are a really, really good side. I mean, this is the defence sorted by points per 90. But I mean, you've got Gahey there in 7th. Obviously, he's had the 2 assists and the goal. You've got Lacroix down in 20th. Hard to judge centre backs for that, but I mean, he did get that assist in the. Just needs to get on the head of something. Richards is nowhere to be seen, but obviously he's a cheaper option. Munoz is 22nd. I mean, his XGI per 90 at 0.29 is pretty tasty. It's just paying the extra for him when you've got the reliability of DEFCON. If you listen to analytics, they'd all tell you to go for the DEFCON boys.
Yeah, and interesting as well, looking at, we were expecting Arsenal to not get DEFCON, basically, because they have so much possession, whereas Gabriel's been an absolute beast for it so far.
He's in the top 20, for it. No one anticipated that.
He's 5th for FPL points per 90 as well.
Yeah.
And I just think there was a lot of talk about, do you go double defence or double attack? And I think everything leads to double defence for Arsenal, especially if Timber's one of them as well. But like I said, Calafiori's in 3rd anyway. So I think, a lot of it does lead to double Arsenal defence. Gvardiol in 9th. I'm not, I know Hibbo had him on, Scoutcast boy. He had him. I think he's a great pick, Gvardiol. Even, I know the fixtures, if they got one or two, I think they've got one or two tricky ones, haven't they, City? Because they're not higher. Well, they got Liverpool in 11.
It does get tough after Everton.
Yeah, but I mean, Gvardiol at 5.9, I still think it's lovely. It's I guess it's tough if you go in double Arsenal defence to pick Gvardiol as well, but he is 9th on this one. So yeah, apart from that, your boy Alderete in 13th.
I guess the issue with Vardiol is it looks like from this list that you're banking on the clean sheets, right? Because the DEFCON success is 25%. He hasn't really got the attacking threat at centre back, so you're just hoping that he gets the defensive returns, which he will, because I think City look all right at the back this season. And Donnarumma, he's a better shot stopper than Ederson was. I think they're. Yeah. I mean, I was about to say they can score fewer goals because of their goalkeeper, which seems mental. But Ederson was so integral in their attack, and the way he could just hoof the ball over defences and things was such a weapon for them. Whereas they've obviously changed tactics, got Donnarumma, and you'd think that it's because they want to tighten up a little bit because he's a better shot stopper.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yep. Anyone else to mention here before we move on? A couple of Newcastle players. Tarkowski's there in 31st. Diouf, my boy, down in 53rd. I was a bit disappointed with his XGI per 90, 0.13.
Yeah. So, I mean, I suppose that's the West Ham effect, isn't it?
Yeah. He has got a good cross on him, though. I'd say he is going to get more assists. Yeah. Mids, then, over the season. What do you think of Esteval? He's top, and he has been for a while. We haven't really talked about him, but is he going to become a bit more of a factor for us? Given he got that winning goal against Liverpool?
I mean, you think so eventually. X minutes is still going to be tough for him, but he does look like their best right winger, to be perfectly honest. He looked great when he came on against Liverpool and obviously got the winning goal. I think eventually he will, but it's just trying to invest in this Chelsea team. Like I said, it's not easy, especially with the rotation that's there. For every position, there's 2 or 3 players that can play it, but he genuinely looks their best winger on that side. But I don't think I'd be going there anytime soon. I mean, Chelsea's fixtures are nice, but I don't want to be looking at the team sheet and just hoping that he's there. He can make an impact off the bench like he did already, but you don't want to be picking a player because they can make an impact off the bench. I mean, you're definitely not going to be picking him over, say, Enzo, are you? So
Not long
even
term.
Caicedo, yeah. So I mean, Enzo, how? Obviously, there's the indication he might not be playing this weekend because of injury, but he might play. How long term of a pick do you think Enzo Fernandez is?
I think he could be a season hold.
No.
Honestly,
Really?
at 6'7",
6'7"?
6'7". I think if you're not going for Pedro, and you want to keep a Chelsea player in, I have my doubts about Palmer this season, given the nature of that injury as well. So at the moment, Enzo seems to me by far the best option in the side. Okay, when Palmer's back, but I think that could be months away.
Yeah.
What does that mean for him? I mean, does it mean, are they going to take Enzo out of that role? If he carries on performing the way he is, it's going to be hard to bring Palmer back and basically relegate Enzo back to a deeper role. I wonder if Palmer could come back on the right and Enzo could stay in the 10.
Yeah, potentially. I don't see Enzo being a season keeper. I see
Potentially a season.
Potentially. I mean, all you want about 7-8 midfielders, you do. I don't know. I look at Enzo and think he's a good pick at the moment. And obviously, what have they got? They got Forest this week, haven't they? Yeah, Forest away. It's next week, isn't it? Owning him for Sunderland at home does seem nice. Yelena, by the way, £2 to say 5-minute warning for the traitors.
I said I'd definitely be done by 9, which I don't think is going to happen.
Yeah, are you disappointed going for Gordon now? By the way,
yeah, I don't know.
He's 17th in this list.
I'm disappointed in the sense that he got subbed early and Barnes came on and looked good. And if you look at when they subbed off Elanga and Gordon, Barnes and Murphy in the 15-20 minutes they played both put up better stats, but they had better chances and they looked more of a attacking thrust. And Barnes is an easy sub, isn't it? If Newcastle were looking to make a substitution, you're always going to be worried that Gordon to Barnes is on the cards because it's just such an easy one to make.
Voltemada took a great penalty.
He did, but I don't think that matters. I think Gordon he scored 2 goals, 2 penalties in the Champions League. The only reason Voltemada took that was because he was off the pitch. That's a very different situation to Arsenal, because you would have thought Gordon would have given the second penalty to Voltemada in the Champions League, and he was just like, nope, I'm 100% taking that. The problem with Gordon is he hasn't scored in bloody ages. I don't think he's got a goal in about 14 game weeks or something ridiculous, going right back to last year. But then you watch him play for England and you think, this guy is going to be a key player for us, you'd think, going into the World Cup next year.
How long do you think you hold him for? Because obviously Newcastle fixtures are pretty good. They're the best fixtures up until game week 16. They're top of the fixture ticket. They have City in 12. But do you just think you're going to hold him forever? Like, what are you going to do with him?
Well, the plan was to think about getting rid of him for Sarr around game week 10, game week 11. But it depends what happens with West Ham. I mean, if it looks like Nuno's turning West Ham into a better defensive unit, then game week 10 would be a good time to move him, because you do Gordon to Sarr. Then Sarr's got Brentford and Brighton both at home, and Newcastle. But if Gordon does well over the next 2 weeks, it's not going to be easy to sell him ahead of West Ham and Brentford. So might give him a bit of a stay of execution. But he's definitely the one in my team where he has to do something over the next couple of weeks, because otherwise there's too many other players. I mean, like Gakpo, like you mentioned, too many other players to consider. Yep, I wouldn't be buying him this week. Let's put it that way. But yeah, a bit disappointed that he didn't get anything against Forest. Just to mention some of the other players I picked out. So Bruno Fernandes is 24th, 0.38 XGI non-penalty per 90. Ndai, who's obviously very popular with a lot of content creators, is 25th, 0.37. Kudus, he's got those minutes, but his underlying stats aren't incredible. I mean, they're okay. 0.35 puts him in 30th. You've got Salah in 34th, we spoke to. Foden down in 36th. And this is your guy. So this is Simon's. Oh. This is pretty grim reading, because he's down in 37th. His XGI non-penalty per 90 is 0.3. He's not in the top 10 midfielders for chances created, which I thought he would be. I thought he would be right up there, but 1.8 is okay for chance created per 90, but it doesn't, like I said, doesn't put him top. Look at Gakpo, 2.27, Grealish, 2.75, Doku, 2.78. It's not. Is it enough? Like, we know he hasn't really got the goal threat. You're buying him relying on chances created, right? And it's not really there.
Yeah. And the biggest thing, I think, when you're looking at him and thinking he's 0.5 million more than Sarr, Sarr is third on this table, like 0.66 XGI non-penalty per 90.
Yeah,
Sarr
double.
is far and away a better player, isn't he? Like it's for FPL, I mean, and I think even though it's against Bournemouth up next, like Crystal Palace at home, I'm probably going to be expecting Sarr to do something. Whereas I don't think I look at Simons and think every game there's something coming here. So yeah, I think it's probably an easy switch, to be honest.
It's a little bit how I feel with Gordon. It's like every week you're hoping to get something, but you're not sure you will. Whereas there's some players who you just own, and you're more surprised when they don't deliver you points.
Yeah. Sarr's one of them.
Well, Reinders is interesting as well. 'Cause I mean, I had to go right down to 58th to find him. We've all got him because of the minutes. He looks down, and it doesn't really justify what I'm seeing on the eye test, because he had that moment against Brentford where he sort of jinxed past about 3 players and maybe put it just wide. Like, he's got it in him just to... Maybe the stats don't really matter for him, but I wonder at what point we'll start to look elsewhere with Reinders.
It's going to be a tough one with him because he's playing 90 pretty much every week, 607 minutes, which I think is only bettered by Bruno on this table. Oh no, there's a few others, Kudus and Salah. But because you've got a nailed Man City player who is good on the counter and can finish at times, he could have easily had a few more points this year as well. He's missed a few really good chances. I think it's going to be a tough one to know when to lose him. It really is, because he's cheap as well. It's not like you're freeing up funds losing him. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough one for him.
I like this comment from Al. The idea of Reinders is better than the reality of Reinders.
Yeah, probably.
And Sri says, is Reindeer just a FOMO hold? And actually, if Gordon does all right for me over the next 2 weeks, it would be Reinders that I'd look to move up to Sarr, as opposed to Gordon. Because, again, I keep coming back to the hop on, hop off from Lego Mane, because it's such a good tool. But if you look at Man City, Aston Villa, Bournemouth, Liverpool, Newcastle, after Everton, that's not a great run of 4 games. For them, and I wonder if you can get better value elsewhere. So Reinders and Gordon for me are the ones that I could well be losing.
I don't think Reinders is too bad to own in tough fixtures.
No, he's fine.
Like,
he's
he
fine.
works on the counter, doesn't he? And he is one of their quicker players in terms of countering, and he gets from box to box very, very quickly. So I don't think it's that bad. But obviously, you still want to see him with those nice fixtures as well.
Well, you remember last week when I showed the wild card, I had Doku over Reinders in my team.
Yeah, I know.
I would have been ridiculous. That is so pep, isn't it? Just talks him up and up and up, says how important he is to low blocks and all that, and then bloody benches him against a low block. Absolutely typical. Final table then is the forwards. Mateta I've highlighted. His underlying stats are good. Missed some absolute sitters for Palace. Very surprised. He's only got 2 goals this season. Ekitike's got France. 3. He did, yeah. But when you look at like Walter Marder, Richarlison, you look at Thiago, these are all players. Even Bowen's got more than him. So gonna have to turn it around at some point. He hasn't got any competition. He's got pens. You expect him to. Still don't mind him as a pick, but
yeah, I think he will. He'll go on a very good run soon. 7.5 million, I think, is an absolute snip for him as well. So with Crystal Palace's fixtures, and he is underperforming massively at the moment. I think he will. Yeah,
and what would be nice is if he drops a bit more in price, over the next few weeks, because then you look at him from 10 and think, okay, if you can pick him up for 7.3, for example, you've got an absolute steal on your hands. Voltamada then, poster boy, Slick Nick, he's in 10th, 0.38. What a start he's had to his Newcastle career. Look at his conversion, 43% is the highest of all the forwards. A great XG per shot, he's getting into the right positions. Visser's out for a little while now. Newcastle have got great fixtures. Pretty good option, got to say.
Yeah, I think he is. I think out of all of them, with the fact that Mateta's got Bournemouth and Arsenal up next, I think if I was on wildcard, I think I'd maybe go for him. Yeah. I think I would. I feel like with the fixtures they've got, I think I'd quite fancy going for a punt with Voltamada. I do think he is doing very, very well with what he's been given so far, because you can see that from his conversion, obviously. 43% conversion is pretty spectacular, really. And 0.38 XGI per 90 is middle of the road, like you can see here. Really, you know, Sesko's better, although Sesko did have a lot of those with kind of one passage of play. But I don't mind him. I think from what I'm seeing at the moment, it's good. I have said before, I don't know how long Newcastle can keep up this great defence, because they're second in terms of XGC so far this season. How long they can keep that up, and also, you know, have Voltemada scoring and things like that. I don't know whether that's going to always be the case, whether they're always going to be so good defensively and Voltemada can score. I don't know. I'll see how that goes on. But I think the 7.2 million, I genuinely think he's a great option, and I do think I would be going for him. But I want to see a little bit more from him yet, if that makes sense. Maybe being a bit harsh there.
Yeah, if I'd had the news of Visser before I played that wild card, I would have gone for him over Gordon. The worry I had was, you know, Visser comes in, maybe there's a bit more rotation. Maybe Voltemada plays in the 10 if he's going to play them together, and there's a bit more risk. But given that Visser is going to be a while until Visser's back and fit, now he's had that setback. I think he's a really nice pick, because I could have had like Voltemada and like an Anderson over Calvert-Lewin and Gordon. Like if you're offered out of those two options now, you're definitely taking the former.
Wait, you wouldn't have picked Calvert-Lewin? Whoa!
Even the most devout Calvert-Lewin fan, which I'm not, by the way. I do agree. I do think there are massive problems with having Calvert-Lewin in your team, but you know, if I was given the option of Calvert-Lewin or Voltemada, there's not really any choice. I really like him. I think he's a really good pick, and I just love how he's hit the ground running. He's just these players who signed for Newcastle, they just seem to take to it so quickly, don't they? Like Gomes, for example, like they get, the crowd just feeds them, and they just absolutely love it. Which I think is why it's so sad with the whole Isak fallout. And you talk to FPL Nightmare and how he feels about Isak and all that. It's like they become like family, don't they? Like in that club, they're so passionate.
Yeah, I think he is very, like, he's a fighter, isn't he? And he just has this kind of one-track mind for scoring, which is great. And I think he fits in really well with what Newcastle have. He's a Andy Carroll regen almost, isn't he?
Whoa, baby, love that comparison. Oh, Andy Carroll he's still playing, isn't he? I think he's still playing in like the lower leagues. Andy Carroll, yeah, legend. Great stuff. I think we both agree. Voltemada's a good pick. Let's take a look at our predictions then. So we've got all 10 games. Forest Chelsea, the first game at the weekend. Be nice to have football back. We've both gone for a Chelsea win here. You've gone for a 1-0. I've gone for a 2-1.
Yeah, just Forest. They're just a mess, aren't they? So I can't see them getting together to do anything against Chelsea, unfortunately. So yeah, I've gone 1-0.
If Enzo's out, they've got a chance, because they're going to be quite light at Chelsea with the injuries they've got and things. But
if Enzo's out, I'm going 3-0. Pedro hat-trick, penalties.
Oh God, that would ruin my weekend on the first match, which
and then the Raya pen.
Oh my God, can you imagine? Burnley Leeds, I've got my Calvert-Lewin brace already locked in, 2-1. You've gone for a 0-0. Oh God, that is no bias in those scores at all, is there?
Do you know what? I genuinely think this will probably be a draw, and I probably think it's going to be 1-1, but I've gone 0-0 just because
the hope.
And also, if it was at Leeds, I go for a comfortable Leeds win. But I think away, I can't really call it between the two. So yeah, I've gone 0-0.
Yeah. Brighton Newcastle, I've gone for a 2-2. I've got the choice to go to this game. There are tickets still available, and it's only obviously down the road from me now. So I'm half tempted to go, but I'm surprised there's tickets because it's quite a big game. It should be a good game. I've gone for goals. You've gone for a 2-1 Newcastle. We're so hard to predict. Who bloody knows what we're going to do?
Is it the furthest away fixture in the Premier League? Brighton and Newcastle? Or is Bournemouth maybe further? Yeah.
It could be.
But
it could be.
No, I mean, I've always said about Brighton, they always play well against the teams you don't expect them to play well against. So maybe neither of us going for a Brighton win is the way. But no, I fancy Newcastle to bully you a bit.
Yep. Palace Bournemouth, again, I've gone for goals in this one, 2-2. You've gone for a Palace win, 2-1. You're going to this one, you say?
I am. Yes.
You're in London. Check you out.
I know. I reckon there's going to be a few goals in this. So yeah, and a Palace win. They obviously lost their streak last week, didn't they?
I know.
Finally lost, but I reckon
God, they
they're
had
back on track.
chances. I can't believe they lost that game.
Big time. Yeah.
Ridiculous. City Everton 2-0 for me in this one. 2-1 for you. Your Tarkowski clean
Grealish.
sheet in the mud.
Oh no, Grealish can't play. Can he?
Grealish can't play, so yeah, he's the one player who won't be doing well.
Yeah. So yeah, actually think about it. Maybe without Grealish, they struggle a little bit.
Sunderland Wolves. I've gone for a 1-0. You've gone for a 2-0 Sunderland. Oof.
Yeah, man. Love my boys, Sunderland.
Such a weird bromance.
No, I know. My beloved Sunderland.
Who would have thought?
I know. No, I fancy that. Mukiele, bullet header, done.
Yep. Fulham Arsenal, I've gone for 2-1. Arsenal, you've gone for a 2-0. Arsenal.
Yeah.
Should be pretty
I'll always
routine.
go for Arsenal clean sheet. Yeah.
Yeah, should be pretty routine. Spurs Villa, I've gone for a 2-1, as have you, to Spurs.
Yep. Nothing to say on that one, really.
Liverpool Man United, interested to get your take on this. I've gone for a 3-1 Liverpool. You've gone for a 2-1.
I mean,
You'd take a 2-1, wouldn't you?
if there's ever a good time to play Liverpool, 3 losses on the bounce, international break, we've just won against Sunderland. Why not? Why not? Why not go for the 2-1 loss?
Yeah, I tell you what. Al said it in the chat. Slot needs to get his act together. I'm not. Obviously, there's not going to be any pressure on him right now. But if United went to Anfield and won that game, and they had 4 successive losses in a row, there's gonna be talk, and it won't necessarily be right talk, but there will be talk about him, and it'll be interesting because he hasn't had any difficulties really, has he? I mean, obviously getting knocked out to PSG in the Champions League last year was, a big blip for him. But genuinely in the Premier League, they never had a run of like 4 or 5 defeats in a row. So
there's no way we're going to beat them. There's no way. Literally, Amorim will be out tacticked, and it genuinely. I hold no hope for us getting a win. We could score a goal and cause a few problems, but we're not winning.
Yeah. Okay. And then finally, West Ham Brentford. We've both gone for a 2-1 to West Ham.
Yep.
Garden Centre game. I think this is a pretty easy one this week.
Where are we? What's it going to be again? I can never remember these.
The Garden Centre game.
This is the ones that are on TV, aren't they?
Yeah. One that's on TV and one that you would like. If you have the choice to go to, if you had to go to a garden centre to miss the game, which one would you choose to miss?
Probably be West Ham Brentford.
It's got to be, isn't it? It's
not
got to
that
be.
fussed about that.
Yeah. Oh, I don't even think I've got the icon anymore. The icon's gone. Anyway, it's West Ham Brentford for anyone wondering. Prediction standings. Thank you to all the Godfathers involved in this. I am about 6th, am I? 7th with 50% correct outcomes. Always my target. 7% correct scores. You're just below me. You've also got 50%. I think you've had like 1 or 2 fewer correct scores. And Luke is level with you at 43 points with slightly less outcome but slightly higher scores. Richard Morris is still leading the way. Keep it up. He's missed a game in terms of the predictions, but he's doing very, very well.
My favourite name ever is in 4th, though. Mercurial Squid.
Mercurial Squid.
I want you to win
it. Legend. What a legend. Just quickly looking at captains. I don't think we need to spend very much time on this at all over the next few weeks, but I just wanted to flag it because I had a really hard job even putting players alongside Haaland that I'd want to captain this week. Semenyo, Pedro, Salah, Fernandes, Saka, Bowen, they seem like the best ones, but you're just not going to go against Haaland this week, are you?
Nah, it's not the time to do it. Haaland captain.
If you had to pick one as a differential?
If I had to pick one, it would probably be Salah.
Yeah.
It'd probably be Salah against United because they're going to score a few goals against us, you'd expect. So yeah, it'd probably be Salah.
Yeah, I'd go for Salah. Maybe a punt on Bowen, but it all feels a bit too risky. I mean, looking at the captaincy matrix, I mean, I had to trim this right down because we had players on there like Mateta, Watkins, and I'm just not sure they're options for us. I think the main ones we're going to be looking at are the Arsenal, Saka, Gyökeres, Salah potentially, and Haaland, and then differentials Fernandes and Semenyo. Other than that, I can't really see who's going to become like a regular captain for us.
Yeah.
I will say, I mean, you obviously got Haaland in 8 and Haaland in 10 against Bournemouth at home, but, you know, in Game Week 9, it's Aston Villa away. In 11, it's Liverpool. In 12, it's Newcastle. So, I mean, Semenyo, for example, in 9 and 12 has Forest and West Ham at home. So
It's not bad.
you could roll the dice a little bit, but yeah, we'll see kind of which way that goes. Let's take a look at your team then for game week 8. Talk us through it.
Yes. So obviously this is going to change a little bit because I haven't at the moment pressed the bench boost button, but I will be bench boosting. So I've got Raya in goal, Gabriel, Senesi and Mukiele at the moment, with Van der Ven and Tarkowski currently on the bench. And then I've got Semenyo, Bruno Fernandes, Reinders, Xavi Simons and Stach on the bench as well. And obviously I'm saying the bench players because I'll be playing them.
Very good. I like how you've done the bench. It's correct.
Thank you.
Well done.
Pedro, Gyökeres and Haaland captain at the moment. So I've got 4 free transfers, 0.1 in the bank, and I am looking at Simons out for Sarr.
Yep.
I could keep Xavi. I genuinely could keep Xavi Simons this week. Aston Villa at home, but I don't fancy it. I don't see Spurs being a massively big goal-scoring team at the moment. And Villa, although they were very low on the table in terms of XGC so far this season, I don't think they're going to be pounded by Spurs. So, but I do think there's going to be some goals. Yes,
Pounded.
I do think there's going to be some goals for Crystal Palace against Bournemouth. So, yeah, I think Sarr's probably the move. It's just a shame I've got to keep Sarr obviously for Arsenal next week, but it's not the end of the world. And then it's whether
you could bench him, right? If you've got Starkey, you've got Tarkowski, you've got ability.
Yeah, because they've got West Ham, haven't they, Leeds? So I could do that. And the other one is whether I lose Tarkowski, because Everton's fixtures aren't that kind moving forward. They have got, I'm trying to think where they are now. There they are. They've got Spurs, Sunderland, Fulham, Man United. Well, could be worse, could be better. So it's whether I keep Tarkowski on the bench boost and hope for kind of 3 to 4 points, or whether I get rid of Tarkowski. The thing is, if I lose Tarkowski, it's who do I get that I want long term? Because a Palace defender is who I would probably want to go for. But with the next 2 fixtures, I'm not expecting a clean sheet against Bournemouth. I'm not expecting a clean sheet against Arsenal. So is there any point making that move?
Get Juve, mate.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where I'm kind of thinking at the moment. I did toy with losing Bruno as well, but with Enzo not being out, I don't think I'd go for it. So
you could do... Sorry, interrupting.
It's basically Xavi Simons and Tarkowski are the 2 that are on the chopping block.
You could do Xavi to Sarr and Tarkowski to Vardiol.
I could, which would absolutely pain me because I almost picked Gavardio instead of Tarkowski on wildcard, and I would be like 7 points up by now and would already have Gavardio. But like you said, do I want to pick Gavardio long term? I don't know. I don't mind the idea of freeing up some funds with Tarkowski.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. There's a few people in the chat saying you'll be lucky to get 10 points with that bench, and I think I probably agree. So there's probably a few transfers need to be made.
No,
if I were you, I'd be doing that Raya out move, but hey,
no.
What can I say?
No, you wouldn't.
I would. No. Get rid of it. 4 transfers, rip the band-aid off. I've got Pope in goal with Gabriel Lacroix and Senesi, Saka, Gordon, Semenyo, Enzo, who, if he is out, I will be really pissed off because for all the reasons we mentioned. Reinders, Haaland, Gyökeres, and then a bench of Dubravka, Calvert-Lewin, Alderete and Diouf. I think if one, like I said, if one of Enzo and Alderete's out, I will sub them out and still play the bench boost. Like I could just do Alderete to Mukiele. I can never pronounce his name. Mukiele.
Yeah, Mukiele.
Just get a Sunderland defender in or something like that. If Enzo's out, I'd probably just switch to Sarr and just play it anyway and get it done. Hopefully I don't have to. Hopefully they're both all right. Our teams are quite different now though. What's it? Pope,
I like it.
Gordon, Enzo. Yeah, we've got about 5 or 6 players different, which is quite nice.
Calvert-Lewin
as well. Calvert-Lewin, obviously. Yeah, about half our team is different, which is good. It's what we want to see. Ideally, I want to play the bench boost. I want to roll the transfer, and then go on from there. But the fates, we'll see what the fate has in store for us. I can bring up the BlackBox leagues now. Now we're sort of 7 weeks into the season. Chris Hart is leading the BlackBox League. 525 points. Wow. Absolutely killing us. Joel is in second. Adiyar's in third. Pete is in fourth. Lindsay is in fifth. Espen is in sixth. Viddy Anderson in sixth. Joint sixth. Islam in eighth. Part in ninth. and Lovey in 10th. If you haven't joined the Black Box League yet, the load code is at the bottom of the screen. It's DGETG1, so make sure you're joined to that. And our lovely Patreons, a massive shout out to Caroline, who is smashing everyone, 485 points. Had a great start to the season. Paul Jacobs in 2nd, Benjamin Lund in 3rd, Stuart Thompson in 4th, Jeff Turner in 5th, Tim Matthews in 6th, Liam Young in 7th, Nathan Jobling in 8th, Doyen Kim in 9th, and Ollie Fletcher in 10th. If you're interested in joining the Patreon, there's still time. There's a link in the description. Head to patreon.com/FPL BlackBox. Get involved in the leagues. There's a trophy for the winner of that. There's the predictions league you can join in, and there will be a meetup at some point, I promise, in the next few months, which, Andy, you're going to attend, of course.
Yeah. Going to do my best. I think we're going to try and do it so it's a weekend where I am not on parental duties.
Yes.
I think it'd be great.
I think January's probably the most likely time for that. So, yeah, looking forward to that. Great chat, everyone. Really enjoyed all of your comments. Thanks for watching. There's 700 people watching throughout, which is great. Do give us a like if you haven't already. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Give Manscaped a go if you haven't already. Manscaped.com/FPL BlackBox. Very good. The white and gold is very flash. But that's it from us. Andy and I will be back next. No, it's not you next week. It's Luke, me, Blackbox, for a late tackle and Blackbox, right?
Yeah, because isn't it? Yeah, I can't remember now, but yeah.
I think you're off duty for a little while. So
yes.
Yeah. Enjoy the
because
break.
I got parents' evenings. That's why.
That's it. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll be in touch again. We might even be late tackle next week, so you don't get rid of Andy for too long. But that's great. Thanks for joining me as always, and we'll see everyone else next week.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.